The contract was simple. At least, that's what she told herself. Elena Cross had signed billion-dollar mergers without blinking, fired executives with a calm smile, and faced hostile boardrooms like a queen stepping onto her throne. Yet as she sat alone in her penthouse office, staring at the city lights bleeding into the night, her fingers trembled slightly over a single sheet of paper. A fake love deal. The irony almost made her laugh. For years, the media had painted Elena as cold, untouchable, a woman who valued profit over people. And she hadn't corrected them. Power had demanded sacrifices: sleep, friendships, warmth. Love had been the first thing she buried, somewhere beneath quarterly reports and steel-sharp ambition, but now, her empire was under threat. The board wanted stability. Investors wanted an image. The press wanted a story that softened the ruthless CEO who had inherited Cross Industries and turned it into a global force. And Elena needed one thing above all else: control. A public relationship would buy her time. That's when fate, or cruelty, placed Daniel Reed directly in her path. Daniel was not supposed to exist in her world. He was a single father. A night shift facility supervisor at one of her buildings. A man who smelled faintly of detergent and coffee, whose hands were rough from work and whose eyes carried the quiet exhaustion of someone who lived for someone else. They met by accident. Or maybe not. The elevator stalled on the 42nd floor at 11:47 p.m. Elena had cursed under her breath, already late for a conference call, when the doors slid open to reveal Daniel kneeling beside a janitor's cart, fixing a loose wheel. His 6-year-old daughter, Lily, sat nearby on a folded jacket, humming softly as she colored on scrap paper. Daniel looked up, startled. "Sorry, ma'am. I'll have this cleared in a minute." Elena nodded impatiently, until Lily looked up. "Daddy," the little girl whispered, tugging his sleeve. She looked sad. The word struck Elena harder than any insult she'd ever received. Daniel froze. "Lily, it's okay," Elena said quietly, surprising herself. "I'm fine." But Lily didn't believe her. She stood, walked over, and held out the drawing, a crooked skyline, 2 stick figures holding hands under a moon. "You can borrow my happy," she said. "It helps my dad when he's tired." Something in Elena cracked. She didn't take the drawing. She didn't speak. She simply stared, at the child, at the man who looked like he carried the weight of the world without complaint. That night, Elena Cross went home unable to sleep. 2 days later, she called Daniel into her office. He stood stiffly, cap in his hands, eyes lowered. "Is there a problem, Miss Cross?" She studied him. The honesty in his posture. The way he didn't ask why he was there. "No," she said. "There's an opportunity." When she explained the deal, Daniel laughed, once, short and disbelieving. "You want me to pretend to be your boyfriend?" "Partner," Elena corrected. "Public appearances. Events. Controlled exposure." "And why me?" She hesitated. "Because you're real. And because no one would ever accuse us of being staged." He thought of Lily. Of rent. Of medical bills that never stopped coming. How long? 3 months. "What about my daughter?" "She'll be protected. Taken care of." Silence filled the room. Daniel finally nodded. "This is fake. No feelings. No lies to the kid." "Agreed." They shook hands. Neither of them realized that handshake would change everything. The first public appearance was a gala. Cameras flashed. Whispers followed. Elena's hand rested lightly on Daniel's arm, rehearsed and distant. He played his role well, quiet, respectful, unassuming, but Lily clung to Elena's leg backstage. "You promised you'd smile," Lily scolded softly. Elena knelt, adjusting the child's bow. "I'm not very good at that." Lily grinned. "Daddy wasn't either. I taught him." And for the first time in years, Elena smiled, not for cameras, not for investors, but for a child who believed happiness could be taught. As the night deepened, the deal began to blur. Daniel noticed Elena's hand shaking when a board member approached. Elena noticed the way Daniel subtly positioned himself between her and the crowd. He noticed how she relaxed when Lily fell asleep in her arms. She noticed how natural he was, how safe. Then came the moment, the move, the night that changed everything. A reporter shouted a question that cut too deep, too personal. Elena froze, memories surging, walls crumbling. Before she could retreat, Daniel stepped forward. He didn't raise his voice. He didn't posture. He simply said, "You don't get to question her worth. Not tonight. Not ever." The room went silent, and in that silence, Elena realized something terrifying. This was no longer fake. As they walked away, her hand tightened around his. "Daniel," she whispered, "this wasn't part of the deal." He looked at her, eyes steady. "I know." And that was the moment. The night began to change forever. The silence that followed Daniel's words was louder than applause. Cameras hovered, reporters hesitated, and for the first time in her entire career, Elena Cross did not know what to say. She had faced courtroom interrogations, hostile takeovers, and betrayal from those she trusted, but never had anyone stood in front of her, not for gain or image, but purely out of instinct, out of care. As they retreated from the gala, Elena's heels clicked too fast against the marble floor, her breath uneven. Daniel walked beside her, steady, grounding, his presence like an anchor in a storm. Lily slept in his arms, her small hand curled against his chest, unaware that her father had just shifted the balance of two powerful worlds. Inside the car, Elena finally spoke. "You shouldn't have done that." Daniel didn't look at her. "I know. This was supposed to be controlled," she said, gripping her purse like a lifeline. "Predictable." "That question wasn't," he replied calmly. "And neither was the look on your face." The car moved, city lights streaking past like fragments of a life Elena had forgotten how to live. "I don't need protecting," she said quietly. Daniel turned then. "I didn't protect you because you're weak. I did it because you're human." The word settled between them, heavy and undeniable. For days after the gala, the media exploded. CEO's mystery man silences reporter. Is Elena Cross finally in love? A different side of the Iron Lady. Stock prices rose. Investors relaxed. The board smiled, but Elena couldn't, because something inside her had shifted, and no spreadsheet could measure it. Daniel returned to his routine, early mornings, late nights, packing Lily's lunch while reviewing spelling words. But Elena lingered everywhere. In the way Lily asked if Miss Elena was coming over. In the unfamiliar warmth he felt when her name lit up his phone. Their meetings became less formal, coffee instead of contracts. Conversations instead of conditions. One night, while Lily colored at the kitchen table, Elena watched Daniel struggle to fix a flickering light. Without thinking, she stood and held the ladder steady. "You don't have to do that," he said. "I want to," she replied. The bulb clicked on. So did something else. Weeks passed. The deal neared its end, and fear crept in, because fake love had rules, real love didn't. The breaking point came quietly. Elena arrived unannounced one evening, rain-soaked, eyes red. No assistance. No car waiting outside. "I can't do this anymore," she whispered. Daniel didn't ask what this was. He simply let her sit, let her breathe, let her exist without expectation. "They're voting tomorrow," she said. "The board. They want me to step aside after the deal ends. They think I've softened." "And have you?" he asked. She looked at Lily, asleep on the couch, a crayon still clutched in her hand. "Yes," Elena said. "And I don't regret it." The vote passed. Elena resigned. The headlines were brutal. CEO walks away for love. Power or people? Elena Cross chooses wrong. But something extraordinary happened. Employees followed her. Partners reached out. A new company formed, not built on fear, but trust. Months later, at a small school recital, Lily scanned the crowd until her face lit up. There she is. Elena waved. No suit, no armor, just warmth. When Lily sang, off-key and proud, Daniel felt tears he didn't bother hiding. After the applause faded, Elena knelt beside him. "The deal is long over," she said softly, I know. And I'm still here. He took her hand. Not for cameras. Not for survival, but because love, real love, had rewritten the contract. That night hadn't just changed their lives. It had changed who they were allowed to become. Redheart, if this story moved you, inspired you, or made you believe in second chances, subscribe to the channel. More emotional, powerful stories are coming, and the next one might just change your night too.